Hello, my name is Tatiana, video blog number one. My heritage. I am Puerto Rican. Never been to Puerto Rico, but I know about it from my grandparents and my parents. My biological dad is also Puerto Rican, as well as my dad who raised me. I recently found out about my biological dad, so I don't know much about how he is. But my mom and my grandparents, which was my biggest influence, um, they've always passed down stories about how Puerto Rico was when they were smaller, especially my grandparents. My grandpa used to say that he used to go to school with no shoes, and that him and his 11 brothers and sisters, they were just like a poor family, but the small island, like a lot of people were. And they also passed down a lot of their dishes. They love to cook everything: rice and beans, pork chops, um, soup. Raining outside, soup it is. Cold outside, soup it is. Cloudy, soup it is. They love soup. Next to rice and beans and pork chops. Um, so much that my brother always says, I'm tired of this. And that's what I'm cooking now for my husband and my baby. Um, how's one's race slash ethnicity related to their culture? Um, I guess it's related because like if you're Puerto Rican and their culture over there, like play music, they like have to have parties, they're very family oriented, always have family around. Most Puerto Ricans have big families, very loud. When they get together, it's all fun and sometimes arguing. At least that's how it was growing up for me. Um, what impact does art have on culture? Music, I've seen very impactful. To me, not as much because I don't listen to like modern music, but I've seen it in my brother and sister a lot and other friends going to school. They, whatever the newest song was, that's how they would talk, that's how they would dress. The biggest celebrities who they would be talking about, wanted to be like. I never wanted to be that, but I guess I was not part of the norm. Cultural universals. In music, it's the language. Language is obviously going to be different for every place, but it's all in a language everybody understands. I feel like music, I can be listening to something in Chinese, but I feel like I can still feel what they're talking about. That makes sense. Um, an example of ethnocentrism. From the book, it says the tendency to look at the other cultures through the eyes of one's own culture and thereby misinterpret them. I've also read that it means that one culture is superior than all the other cultures. Um, an example from my life is when I first started dating my husband. He's Colombian, and I always said that Puerto Ricans were better than Colombians, and we always had this debate. I'm always over here saying Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico. Never even been to Puerto Rico, and he's over here like Colombia, Colombia, Colombia. Only, well, lived in Colombia for 6 months, but it's always kind of funny. Um, of course, we don't do that anymore. We're married, and I know that Puerto Rico is not the best. I don't feel like any culture is the best. Also say that the way Puerto Ricans talk in Spanish is the right way, and the way we do things are the right way. How we're so like together, and family is always first, and families are always really tight. But with him, I feel like it's not like that. Like his family is completely different. They're not as together with their entire family. It's more of like just like the internal family, like the first set, like mom, brother, sister, and him. They were the closest. They didn't really talk to anybody else from their family except for their grandpa. And it was weird for me to see them. They weren't as inviting because it's always just been them. That's also what made me feel like Puerto Rico was better than their, like, my culture was better than his culture from Colombia. Um, but of course, I know that's not true. Every culture is different. Okay, well, that about wraps it up for me and my first blog. So, bye guys. See you for video blog number 2.